Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to the Seaside Allotment channel, and today it's the sowing, what am I sowing and growing in March video. And what we're going to do first is we're just going to look at what we're growing. So I've laid stuff out on this trestle table so we can see it all. I don't normally leave everything on this trestle table because I don't want to shade the stuff underneath too much. So some of it's on the little hanging shelf there, and some of it's in the little greenhouse. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I think everything's gone well. We've had one failed germination of the Carmen red onions from mole seeds. I sowed 3 trays of those because we really like red onions, and not a single seed out of those 3 trays germinated. And those were actually multi-sown as well, so there were 3 trays of 3 onions each, 40 cell trays, so that was a lot of seeds and not one germinated. And I did 2 test sowings, one at slightly higher temperature and one at slightly lower temperature after that, and not one of those germinated. So I got my money back from mole seeds for those. But it now means I'm a little bit late on to re-sow those, and so I've had to buy some onion sets, and I bought the heat-treated ones from Marshall's. And that'll have to do. I really like sowing my own seeds for onions, but anyway. Yeah, that's the beauty of sowing seeds. I think that if they fail, you can always buy sets. But if your sets fail, you haven't got time. So anyway, let's take a look at what we've got here. So first up here, we've got some very leggy now broad beans, and they're just to fill the gaps in Jennie's plot where we've had a few that failed to germinate, or just got too battered in the wind. And then at the back here we've got 2 trays of radish, 2 successions. The first succession is in the ground now and growing pretty well. We're actually harvesting radish now from the succession that we sowed in middle of October, I think. I've just potted up my oca tubers into this moist compost. It actually needs watering again, and so hopefully they will be up. That's quite a nice little selection of oca there. We grow oca for a kind of alternative to radish in winter. And then I've got 4 trays of salads. I've got some lamb's lettuce which is going into the back garden, and then I've got 3 trays of lettuces. And these are all mostly anyway destined for the polytunnel, for the empty bed that's down there behind me. I had one batch there that failed to germinate, but I re-sowed the same with new seed because that was old seed, and you can see that germinated quite nicely. Got some really nice Grenoble red here, which is one of my favourites. So I'll be planting these out in about a week's time, I should think. They're growing pretty well. So next up we've got these trays, these 4 trays, which are the first batch of salads that are going to get planted outside. These are going to go under fleece in the back garden. And these are Grenoble red and a green oak leaf lettuce that I really like, that I get from Premier Seeds. And then we've got some Tessie, and germination wasn't very good in this. This was last year's seed. And then we've got some Cantarics, and again that was last year's seed. Not perfect germination, but not too bad. And then we've got some more of that green oak leaf lettuce, some more Grenoble red, and another tray there of Navarra with, again, effectively perfect germination. And you can probably see, if I can get this right in the camera, that what I do is I just sow a handful of cells with 2 seeds in them, and then if I have a gap in the tray where I don't get perfect germination, I'll just prick out one of these which is what I've already done in this tray, which is why it's full. And then I get 100% germination. So I normally just do like one row with 2 seeds in it. So this is the first tray of beetroot for 2020. I've got overwintering beetroot, which is looking really nice. I'll just pop an overlay up on this video so you can see those. And those are early wonder, but these are bolt hardy. And this is about as early really as I like to sow bolt hardy, but I think they're looking pretty good. Slightly leggy, but they'll be fine. And then this tray is interesting. This is New Zealand spinach. Now, New Zealand spinach isn't hardy, so a frost will kill it. Well, that's the theory, but we left a New Zealand spinach bed in just a little bit too long. Well, actually, we left it in until the frost killed it last year. And so it dropped loads of seed pods. And so we've got loads of volunteer seedlings coming up. And so I was weeding them out, and I thought, well, I might as well just pot some of them up and see what happens. So I potted up this tray, and New Zealand spinach seed is actually quite expensive. So it'll be quite interesting to see whether I actually get some really, really early New Zealand spinach from this sowing. Well, not sowing, but pricking out. And then this is my first 2020 sowing of red kitten spinach. We've got quite a few beds of red kitten spinach out there under coal frames and low tunnels. I'll pop a picture of those up as well. But this is the first one that will actually go outside under fleece. And then this is my first sowing of brassicas. So I like to sow sprouts for leaves. And so I've got this tray here, which is just little clumps of 3 sprouts that will be planted really high density, basically 9 of these modules. So 27 sprout plants per square metre. And obviously they don't produce sprouts, but they do produce an abundance of leaves. I've sowed my first batch of these outside. I'll quickly put a photo of those up. Those are overwintered sprout plants. These are obviously this season sprout plants, and they're fine at this size at this time of year. And then I've got my first batch of red cabbage. These are red fugo, and you can probably just about see those. And they're only planted 1 seed per cell, and so I haven't got perfect germination there, but it's pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with that, because obviously you don't need that many red cabbages, and my main sowing of red cabbage is in March. And then I've got some full basket sprouts, and they're looking pretty good as well. And I'll have another sowing of sprouts in March. And then I've got some more sprouts for leaves here, and I won't need all of these, so basically I'll only need 9 of these cells out of the 18 that I've got there. And then I've got some early kales, and these are dazzling blue, which are looking pretty good. Only just potted those on. But unfortunately, as you can probably see here, my kales got scorched. They were at home in the conservatory, and it was just like a really sunny day, and they were on the top shelf. It's just too hot for them there, so I don't think I'm going to get any viable winter bores out of those. I've got some more dazzling blue. They got scorched. I've got a few more. There's 3 of those that survived the scorching. And then I've got some Black Magic Carvalho Nero type, and I've probably got 1 of those that survived the scorching. So that is pretty much a disaster. My replacement batch is just breaking through now, but I'm not too worried, because basically I've got 6 there, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plants I think that are viable, and I actually only need 12 for the early kale bed, so yeah, it's going to be fine. My main kale sowing isn't until the middle of March, so these are just going to go under cover in one of my low tunnels for a really nice early harvest, or that was the theory. Now it'll be a slightly later harvest, but not to worry. And then finally in the polytunnel we've got some peas being grown for pods. They're just starting to break through. They're going to go outside in the back garden under a bit of fleece. And then I've got my second batch of Oregon sugar pod Mange 2 peas, and these are going to go at the back of one of the coal frames. Now we've already got the first batch sowed and planted, and I'll just throw those up, throw a photo of those up. I really love Mange 2 peas, and this is the kind of density that I like them. That number there is enough for a 2 metre run of peas at the back of a coal frame. So then I've got my early potatoes. I've only got 6 containers of these. I've got Swift and Ammon Pilot. We'll start harvesting these late April, early May, and there'll be enough here to get us through until June when the outside potatoes come through. So that's great for the period now from March, well in fact from back into November time through till now. What we're harvesting are the potatoes that we sowed in August, and those are amazing quality new potatoes still. They're just stored in the compost. The potatoes finished in November, but the quality of those potatoes is fantastic. So there's no real reason to grow early potatoes when you can just sow them in August and keep harvesting them as you need them all the way through until April. And then we come on to the onions. So I've got a nice tray of Elsa Craig, and those are planted 2 to a module because I want those to be quite nice, big. They're a white onion. And then I've got a tray of Zabun shallots, and those are planted 1 to a module, although there's an odd one that's got 2 for some reason. And then another tray of Zabun shallots, and they're planted 3 to a module. And then these are the white onions, and I can't pronounce the name unfortunately. And those were a test germination, but I decided to pot them on, so that's why they look so awful. And then we've got those same white onions there. Those are planted in theory 3 to a module. And then I've got 2 trays of Zabun, not Zabun, sorry, Stir-on spring onions, and they both look like this one, so I'll not show you the other one, but those are spring onions, but I can thin those out and use those as a main crop onion as well if I wanted to. So I think I've got about 240 white onions, about 240 red onions, about 180 shallots. There's I think about 40, so probably 120 shallots in the ground outside, and there's quite a few overwintered onions as well, and those are Stir-on and Tough Ball, and they're doing pretty nicely as well. I think I might just show you those. So I decided to do these in my little low tunnel, and I think it's been, so far it looks like it's been a good decision because they look really healthy and strong. And some of the Stir-ons are planted at spring onion density at this end, and so obviously these are going to be thinned out. The Tough Balls at the other end are I think 3 or 4 to a module. I just hope that having brought them on under my low tunnel, they don't all go to seed on me. And we've got a few early cauliflowers interplanted into the spinach bed, and a few early calabrese into the lettuce bed. And then finally we've got a few overwintered brassicas. We've got some Romanesco cauliflowers here. Oh, we've still got our third succession of spring cabbages here. We've got 2 successions in the ground. And then finally we've just got a few of these containers of early carrots, and I must say I'm very disappointed with the progress on these. In previous years they would be up here, but anyway, we'll see how they go. And I've just arrived back at home, and this is my little collection of cucumbers, tomatoes and peppers. Now I don't kind of go overboard on early tomatoes and cucumbers because I just don't have a good place to grow them at this time of year, so early on. But I've got 3 plants. 2 of them are going to go in the conservatory, and 1 of them we're going to try out on the allotment. And I've got 4 cucumbers. 3 of those again are going to be in the conservatory, and 1 early in the allotment. Most of my cucumbers are going to be sowing in, and tomatoes will be sowing in March, actually towards the end of March, for planting in sort of 5th to the 10th of May, something like that. And then these are the peppers, and again I kind of struggle a little bit with peppers because I don't really have anywhere bright enough and warm enough for them, so this conservatory just has to be it. And I think I've got 2 other trays that I haven't put out here, which the condition of them isn't very good, so they'll probably just end up being thrown in the bin. But I've still got 36 peppers there, so that's not too bad. I might have to buy maybe another 10 or something like that, but still not too bad. I've got California Wonder, I've got New Ace, I've got Long Red Marconi, and I've got some cyan peppers, and I think, yeah, that's about it. So reasonable collection of peppers, not very many tomatoes and cucumbers, but enough for us. So I hope you like this quick video, and I'll see you soon.